There we are. Hello, darlings. Obviously, I'm literally just in the door. And considering that I broke down, I don't think I've done too badly to only be, 5 minutes late? Something like that. Obviously, I got home without any further problems. Pardon me while I just unpack my shopping. Oh, can't start the morning without that stuff. Tomorrow's lunch, is that? What? What? Why are you doing that to me? Not now. Thank you. Dear me. Oh, I'll be with you in a moment, darlings. Just chat amongst yourselves. Oh, God. Well, there we go. Ah, don't burn me. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Nearly there, darlings. Oh, God. I'm knackered now. Right, well, hello and a very warm welcome to a slightly belated Thursday Night Live. And the reason it is slightly belated is I broke down. I know, unheard of. Who could have possibly guessed it? So, her. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you've all had a good day. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. Let's get on with a bit of a bit of Thursday night fun, shall we? Oh, God above. Barry is with us and says, "Oh, hang on, I need to put you on all doings, don't I? All messages. There we are. I know. Right, so Barry is with us and says, so apparently the vicious bastard started. Yes, it did indeed. Sending kisses, Boaty, says the lovely smelly hole. I take it you got going, and in the words of John Cleese, gave Dick a Dum-Dum a right good thrashing, says Paddy Scratter. I don't know what happened to the live stream, darlings. I don't know what happened to it, because I thought it was all still live. Well, we sorted it and everything, but apparently not. Oh, I don't know. Let's have a look on. Go into that. Well, it's kind of there, but maybe it went off. Maybe the signal went off or something. I don't know. Right, there we are. A car, says Jimmy F500, is a mechanical device. It goes wrong from time to time. It's a pain, but it happens. Did he get it going, says Skick? Yeah, he did indeed. One quick tap on the solenoid, started straight away. Not a problem. Barry Scrotter says, Jimmy, the ignition switch on my car wore out a couple of years ago. The car would love to cut out randomly at the worst times. Drove me mad for a couple of weeks till I got to the bottom of it. The ignition switch went on my Metro cab, and I just fitted a flicky lever thing instead. Barry, I get a buzz when I'm able to fix things myself. That's the good bit. Well, I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm useless at manual labour, says Barry, and I'm with you on that one. I do like gardening, though. We grow all of our own vegetables on the farm. You see, I can't even garden. Not a clue. Wouldn't know where to start. Totally hopeless. Oh, I didn't know you were in Ireland, Jimmy F500. Whereabouts in Ireland are you? Oh, you're in the West Coast, and it's mostly crap weather. Oh, hang on. No, you're not in the West Coast. You're just saying that the weather is not always good over there. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Right, I understand what you're saying. Evening all, says Bad Books. What are the chances of the big fella showing up? Well, quite good, apparently. I'm freezing. I turned the heating on, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Jimmy, have you watched the documentary about Bert Spencer? Man in his late 70s that, in my opinion, got away with murder. Well, I don't know whether Jimmy's watched it. Well, I do, because he says no, but I have watched it. And he might have got away with one murder, but he didn't get away with the other one, did he? I mean, he went down for a murder, but he was suspected of killing the paper boy as well, wasn't he? So that's the one he might have got away with. But yes, I've seen that with the guy, the criminal psychologist that I cannot stand. Hated him. And I thought that program was, I thought it was wrong, really. I wasn't in favour of that at all. I thought it was I thought it was incredibly disingenuous, and I mean, it was almost, well, I mean, it was disingenuous, it was insincere, it was subjective, it was biased. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. Oh, is anybody watching? And I would like to. So where is my portable electric telephone? Right, forgive me, but I just want to watch this. For those of you who don't know, there is a spacecraft that is about to land on the moon, and there's a live video feed from the company operating it in conjunction with NASA. So you can watch the live stream of this thing landing on the moon, and I would quite like to do that. So I'm just going to put it on in the background and keep one eye on it. Live coverage, a DCS spacecraft attempts moon landing. All right, that's on YouTube. Let's have a look at that. I'll mute the sound. Let's see if I've just got the right one. Oh, come on. Bloody adverts. Oh, now an advert for bloody Five Guys Burgers, which I've never been to. Ah, here we are. Oh, bloody hell. How do I get that full screen? Oh, it's almost down. Look at that. That doesn't look real. I mean, I suppose it must be. Hang on, let's actually get it on. Oh, 7 minutes and 40 seconds and counting to touchdown. Right. Where did I get to? Top marks, Boaty. You didn't hang about. I drove like a bloody bat out of hell. Drove home like Lewis Hamilton. Jim is here. James Ray. Evening, Boaty, and to you all. Sorry missed last 2 nights. It's had a hectic couple of days. Good to see you got home. Thank you, Jim. Well, hello there, handsome, says Winkleman's Winkle. Oh, God. Did hitting the starter motor work? I take it did, asked Neil. Yep, 1 tap was all it took. Boom, sorted. Started straight up like a good one. And I'll be annoyed if I have to bloody replace the starter motor because it's a really good starter. Doesn't have to throw the engine over. Right on, right enough. So I should be peeved if I have to do that. And not in the easiest place either, is it? Stuff the shopping, get the wine on the go, says Barry Scratter. Very good, says Jimmy F 500. Hardly behind time at all. Winkleman's Winkle says, are you single and free to mingle? Yes, I am. Of course I'm single. Look at me. What woman or man? Well, woman, preferably. What woman would look at me twice? A well-deserved glass of plunk. Well-deserved indeed. Oh, the live stream went silent, says Bad Books, but you could see the AA man under the bonnet. You look familiar to me. Are you in the business? Well, it depends what business you're in. Winkleman's Winkle. But yeah, quite possibly. Evening all, says Chris Maguire. Good evening, says HW100. And Stephen S. Paul says it's the Breakdown Boaty Show. Glad you made it home, pumpkin. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, dear. Oh. I haven't tried restarting the car since it started, but I'm just going to work on the basis, darlings, that it was a one-off event and it will never, ever, ever happen again. And I don't have to do anything about it. That's the basis that I'm working on. Because at the end of the day, it's a rover. And that means that if something does go wrong, which is incredibly unlikely, then due to the self-learning nature of rovers, it will immediately fix itself and it will never go wrong again. It will learn from its own mistakes. Plenty of backup cars, says HW100. Well, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I didn't even plan to take Dick-a-Dum-Dum tonight. I just had, I've had a bit of a brain fart today, obviously, and I forgot that I was supposed to go and get petrol in Sheeson today because I was running late last night. Didn't get a chance to fuel Sheeson before Sainsbury's closed, um, and thought, ah, well, I've got enough to get home. I've just not got enough to get back to work. So I thought I'll just whiz down the hill and put some in at Ladywood today. Completely forgot about it. Didn't remember until I got into Sheeson to go to work and thought, oh shit, I've got absolutely no bloody fuel. And I thought, well, Dick a Dum Dum's got a bit in, so I'll take Dick a Dum Dum. That went well, didn't it? My wife had a Metro when we got together, says Jim, and the starter was on the blink for God knows how long. A good old whack worked a treat for well over a year. Oh, well, there you are, you see. We'll work on that basis. We'll work on the basis it's going to be absolutely fine. It's not as bad as Herman the German, my Mercedes A-Class. The starter failed on that, and I still ran it for about 5 months afterwards. I just had to park it on a hill and bump start it because you can't replace the starter on an A class. Well, I mean you can, but it's £2,500 job. You got to drop the chassis. It's ridiculous. So amazingly, I didn't find it too inconvenient to have to bump start it all the time. It was manual, of course. The only two times I found it inconvenient was one at work. I was working at Sainsbury's, and the car park was on a slight slope, but not enough of a slope for the car to pick up enough speed to bump start on its own. So what I had to do like a bobsleigh job on it. So I had to, with the car door open, I had to push it to get it going. And then when it was going quick enough, I had to jump in and quickly bump start it. And that worked well every night until it didn't work well. I tripped up when I was trying to jump into the car and literally ran myself over. So I didn't find it particularly convenient that night. And the other night I didn't find it convenient was when I went on that disastrous date with the sex therapist on the What's It Road in the Eccles Hall, the Eccles Hall Road in in Sheffield, in this kind of quite charming little boho bar we met up in. But I've told you the story about that one. She got tremendously drunk and wanted me to take her home and described in incredible detail what she expected me to do to her. And, you know, I simply wasn't up to the job. I thought, I thought, bugger that. Oh, hello. Oh, it's going in for. Sorry, I'm just looking at this thing whizzing over the moon. That can't be real coverage, can it? Oh, it can, can't it? Because it's got a little eagle. Oh, is it going down? It's going down. It's going down. Slow down, mate. Slow down. Slow down. Oh, you're going too quickly. Yeah, it popped out a little remote video camera thing. So, right, this is actually footage of this thing that's about the size of. Oh, it's all gone dark. Apparently, it's about the size of Doctor Who's TARDIS, which. Oh, what's this? Oh! Oh, it's actually bloody hell. Is anybody else watching this? Down it goes. God, it doesn't look like a whole different planet. Oh, that's it. It's down. It's down. That looked like a safe landing. God, that's amazing. And now they're just doing a replay. God, that's extraordinary. And then you could see the yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. But yeah, that was the other time that. So I was on the date with the sex therapist, tried to get out of it, tried to make my excuses and leave. She wasn't having any of it. I literally tried to escape from the pub, and she literally rugby tackled me from behind, and then chased me down the bloody road. And really, I really wanted to be able to just get in the car, turn the key, and drive home. There's nothing, there is no time that not having a fully operative starter motor is more inconvenient than when you've got a very drunk, very horny sex therapist trying to drag your trousers down. God, what a night that was. Bloody hell. And it got worse before it got better, remember? Remember what you did afterwards, the vindictive cow. Oh, dear me. Anyway, there we are. The sex therapist was legit dirty. Oh my God, tell me about it, Barry. You remember the story. Evening all, says Joe. Glad you got home safe, mate. Was it the starter motor? I'm late to the live. So was I, Joe. Yeah, he just gave the solenoid. He found the starter motor. Excuse me. Gave the solenoid a tap with the thingy, and it started right up. No problem at all. Oh dear, that was an unfortunate incident there, Boaty says. Give me a 500. Downside of an auto, you can't bump start them. Yeah, pain in the bum. Is it a moon rover? Asked Bad Books. And yeah, I think we can all see what you did there. This is quite exciting if you get excited by this kind of thing. This is for those who don't know, this moon landing is a commercial moon landing, albeit in other words, it's being funded by a commercial independent company, but then done in conjunction with NASA, the North American Space Agency. But they're kind of doing it all a bit differently. They're landing on the south pole of the moon, and this is going to be the exploratory mission that is supposed to pave the way for safe human landings, more regular landings on the moon in the South Pole. And the reason, and the South Pole is trickier to land in because there's a lot more rubble and a lot more hazards. But the reason they want to land on the South Pole is there is a far greater probability or possibility of water there. And obviously, if there's going to be human habitation on the moon, then water is going to be necessary. Why do they want humans to get to the moon, you might ask? Well, you know, you can probably guess, can't you? Human bloody greed. Mining, darlings. It's all about mining. They want to mine on the moon and make money from it. That's what it's all about. Sheer human greed. But there you go. What can you do? What can you do? That's the human race for you. We are what we are. I saw William Shatner in orbit with Elon Musk. Oh yeah, William Shatner went up, didn't he? Um, yes, I vaguely recall that. Okay, well, what else is happening? Well, we've had a safe touchdown on the moon from the look of it. I haven't got the sound up, so I can't hear what they're saying, but it certainly looked successful as far as I could see. Probably nothing to see there now. Might as well turn it up. The south side of the moon is a bad neighbourhood, says Stephen S. Paul. Lots of street gangs over on the south side. I take it that's some kind of New York or reference of some nature. I'm not terribly familiar with New York, to be perfectly honest with you, darlings. Right, so what else have we got to talk about? The community car idea, which I still think is a really good idea, and I still think we should do. I was just not entirely convinced, as it turned out. Quite a few people contacted me about that City Rover. Um, and they contacted me about a number of issues. couple of people who know them inside out did warn me about the sheer unavailability, the unobtainium levels of some wearable parts. So, you know, even if you had the best intentions in the world of keeping the car on the road, it could be problematical. And I wasn't entirely aware of that, if I'm honest. I knew that it had a reputation of being a lousy car, but I thought that, you know, being such a popular car in India, the Tata Indica, I figured that parts would be available even if you had to import them. But apparently that is not the case. It's a very outdated model. They had, they had a limited lifespan, I suppose. And by all accounts, it's a tricky chap to keep on the road due to the parts issues. And I was also contacted by a couple of people who had looked very carefully at the bidding on the auction and suggested there might be some inconsistencies, shall we say. I'll be honest, I didn't think there was. But yeah, that was pointed out. And it was also suggested that, even though my channel is just a pokey little channel that 12 people watch, it was suggested that in a tiny community like the Rover community, it might have got out there that we were looking at bidding on it, and somebody might have been tempted to put in some less than entirely authentic bids. Now, I don't think that happened, to make it absolutely clear. And I've been sent links by a few people to another City Rover that's currently on eBay, and that's doing even more stupid money. The last time I looked at that, it was doing 540 quid, and it's rotten as a bloody pear. And as we know from our friend Ian's experience with his City Rover, the rot on them is terminal. So all things considered, I thought that maybe a City Rover isn't the best bet for the first Boaty's World community car. But I think the idea is a good one. So that's something that maybe we ought to talk about. The idea remains absolutely the same, that a group of us buy a car between us, we pay for it between us, and we do a car share on it. So if 12 of us, and I think 12 might kind of be the perfect number, or maybe a few more. But so if there were 12 of us in it, we'd all get the car for a month out of the year. And I've said all of this before, it would make really good content if you were into YouTube. It would just be fun. It would be a laugh. It would be a giggle. There'd be a community side to it because the car would be passed from one to the other like a relay baton. But maybe the City Rover wasn't the car to do it with, because it's not like anybody would enjoy their time with it by all accounts. So let's keep the idea, but change the car. And if I was going to think of another, let's throw it open to the community. What do you think would be a good suggestion for a community car for us to buy and run on the basis that I've mentioned? So throw your ideas at me. My suggestion would be an MGF, but a facelift MGF. So the model that came in between wet leg and minge bag, so that you get what I think are the more attractive looks of the original F, because I think the F is a better looking car than the TF, but you get some of the conveniences of the TF in the facelift F, like an adjustable steering wheel, so that if you're a little bit taller, you can actually fit in the damn thing, something like that. So, but there you go. What are your thoughts? Or a couple of people suggested that we should turn one of my cars into a community car, or we could turn one of the Mustard and Boaty cars, or we could. I thought it might actually be more fun if we just bought a brand new kind of unknown quantity and all did it together. That would make for better content and more excitement. And yeah, so over to you. What would your suggestions be for one of those? Right, okay. It's live on Sky News, Boaty, says Jimmy Quinn. Okay. Well, hello there, says Ivor Spotty Butty. I was watching the breakdown live. You probably mentioned what happened with Dicker Dum Dum, and hi everyone. Yeah, sticky starter motor or sticky solenoid, whatever. Let's all club together and buy a Mark One Cavalier sports hatch, says Paddy Scrotter. That's going to be a bit bloody. That's going to be a bit expensive by the sound of it. I've got no idea what one of those fetches, but I imagine it's quite a lot. I'm thinking about a car that we could buy for. I'm thinking. Well, I was thinking about a car that we could buy for like 1,200 quid or less, so that if there were 12 of us in the group, then it would be less than 100 quid per person. I don't want anybody to have to be whacking out a load of money. Well, and more to the point, I want to be part of it, and I can't whack out a load of money. Whereas if it was 18, 90 or 100 quid, I'd stand a chance of being able to raise that. And if we were careful, we could get something halfway interesting for that. You could certainly buy an MGF for that sort of money. Sounds like there's a problem with that moon landing. They've lost contact. Houston. Have they really? Or is that a joke? Community car? Okay, let's start donating now to it, says Skick. Who would like to start? Well, it won't work like that. We'll form a conglomerate, pick a car, and then when we bid on, we'll all agree, and we'll have to firm something up. But then when we've bid on it and won the eBay auction or bought the car or whatever, then we'll all just put in our share. Montego or Maestro, says Barry. I think they're going to be out of the price range. Or an R8 Rover. That might be near the mark. A recovery truck. Thank you, Name Me -1. Very helpful. Allegro Man has got a nice Rover 45 for sale, says Jimmy Quinn. Fred the Shed, the community car. Each member fixes something on him. Sod that. No, I'm not getting involved with Fred the Shed. So, I really... Oh, hello. They're all applauding in Houston now, so... I can't hear, but I can see that they're all applauding and doing this. So I assume that there has been some sort of success. Yeah, you were absolutely right, Andrew. It definitely was starter motor related. So the question now is it like a periodic or one-off thing, or am I going to have to try and shell out for a new bloody starter motor? Hello, says Captain Mustard. I believe your car didn't some working. Well, it didn't work, Mustard. Yeah, it just cataclysmically failed to start until the nice AA man came up, poked the starter motor with something long and metal, and then it was absolutely fine. Well, it started once anyway. Fred the Shed would be a great idea. It wouldn't, Skick, because it's too awful. It's too horrible. And not everybody is going to be able to fix something on him. I certainly can't. And, who would? No. We need something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more quirky, and a little bit more worthwhile. You guys have only seen Fred the Shed on videos. I've seen it in real life. I've driven it. I've sat in it. Trust me, nobody would want to be shelling out money on Fred the Shed, and it would be a complete non-starter anyway. Right, think about the logistics of it realistically. So, okay, we buy Fred the Shed, 12 of us, however many. And so we then own a car in somebody else's yard that doesn't work, hasn't got an MOT, and we've got to somehow move it. How's that going to work? So whoever had the car for the first month, their first job would be to pay hundreds of pounds to get it transported, even more hundreds of pounds to get it running, and then even more hundreds of pounds to get it MOT'd. It's an obvious non-starter. We need to buy something that is complete, at least half decent, MOT'd, working and running. And to me, an MGF is like would be an obvious suggestion because at least it's a bit of fun. So when you had it for the month, at least you could have a bit of fun with it. There's no fun to be had in Fred the Shed. Every time you got in it would be like a bloody prison sentence. I mean, it doesn't even have to be an MG Rover. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. So throw your suggestions into the ring. Something at least half interesting though, to add a little bit of doings to it. It's touchdown, says Ivor. They regained contact with the moon lander. Sounds like it landed okay. That's brilliant. Fred is already a Rochdale icon, says Stephen S. Paul. Yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it? It's a Rochdale icon because it can't bloody move. Didn't do the correct amount of working, says Mustard. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, mate. It didn't do the correct amount of working until it was prodded. It just needed a prod in the right place and then it was fine. Could be a dodgy starter solenoid. I think that's exactly what it was. Ivor? Why are we talking about Fred? Asked Mustard. And Ivor replies, hi Mustard, Fred has been suggested as the Boaty's World community car. And it's a really bad suggestion. A really bad suggestion. It sucks if you get winter in the MGF, unless you like drifting, says Name Me -1. And that is a fair point, I suppose. I have a Golf 2-litre GTI. Been in storage for years, says Skip, but would start. Very good condition. Collect from Lincolnshire. Yeah, well, something like that. Something like that. Somebody else just pinged me and said, what about a Rover 25? Rover 25 wouldn't be a bad one, I suppose. MGFs can be good fun in winter. Oh, I think the live coverage of the moon lander has finished, so we can turn that off. There we go. I reckon it's your starter spade connector, says Mustard. If it's the starter spade connector, then would whacking it with a stick have solved that? It was whacking it with a stick that did the job. But I mean, I don't know what it is, do I? I mean, bloody Neil's telling me to, give the starter motor a whack. I said, well, where's the starter motor? It's on top of the gearbox. Where's the bloody gearbox? Dear me. Anyway, the point is I got home and I wasn't too late, and we'll worry all about that tomorrow. Also, says Name Me -1, those of us who eat barely fit in an MGF. I'm fat and I'm 6'5". So I don't know what size you are, Name Me -1, but I mean, if I can fit into an MGF, you're going to have to be some kind of giant haystacks in order for you. I mean, you might be for all I know, but there's loads of room. You just have to be a little bit. You have to be a little bit flexible, is all. But all suggestions are welcome. I'm just trying to think that, in order to make it worthwhile, it should be something that we kind of look forward to driving for the month or 3 weeks or whatever it is that we have it and that candle's gone out. And I don't think anybody's going to get excited about driving for Ed to Shed. It's just going to be embarrassing. Your neighbours would see it and wonder what the hell's happened to you, what's gone wrong with your life. Your wife would leave you. Your children would be too embarrassed to come home. Just a bad idea all round, really. What's going on here? I think the problem here is that all the wax in the candle. Go on, you should start. Bloody hell, so now I've got a candle that won't start as well as the car. Look, there's loads of candle wax all around the side, but I don't think there's enough in the bottom for the candle to run properly. So, I don't know, shall I call the AA? Let's have another go. Let's melt a bit around the edge. Let that run down into the well. Oh, hang on. Has that worked? Okay, well now you probably can't see. Now the match is working as a. Oh, hang on. Now the candle's going. Oh, that might be all right, actually. We'll leave that alone. That might work. That might work. We'll settle for that. Oh, God, what a night. Janet Jackson, says Barry Scrotto. Good card if Mustard still has her. Yeah, we still have Janet Jackson. Janet is waiting for Allegro Man to do a little bit of welding to her. Not a massive amount. Just it just needs a little kiss from the welder's torch in the old rear quarter is all she needs. And I agree that Janet could be a nice little car. And being an L series diesel, if you like that sort of thing, is arguably a worthwhile little car. Whether it will count as fun, I don't know. That would depend on your point of view, but it would certainly be a car that we could improve on, just with a little bit of elbow grease and kind of minimal expense. So it would work well in that way, and it wouldn't be an enormous amount of money to buy, because because I know the couple of dodgy blokes that are selling it. I might be able to get us mates rates. You should buy a motorhome between everyone, Boaty. That was a lovely idea, Jimmy, but we're going to be working on a very limited budget. I suggested 1,200 quid, working on the basis that there would be, somewhere around 12 of us in the doings. Steering wheel in the crotch is not fun. Well, tell me about it. Name me -1. I own an early MGF, and I'm 6'5". I know all about that. Just needed a tilt and slide steering column, and that is why I suggested a facelift MGF, where you have got that tilt steering column anyway, even if not slide. And the candle has got a starter issue too. I think I've solved it. Solved it. It's flying now. But what I need to do is you see that what's happening now is the candle is burning too much wax away from the side, and that is going to extinguish oh, bollocks. All right, well, I didn't mean to do that, admittedly. Okay, so if I just pour a little bit of that back onto the side like that, then the flame should oh no, don't go out, don't go out. Oh, don't go out. Oh, it just needs to be on a very slight angle. I'll put it on about there. That might do it. Oh, God. See, now, if I was a successful YouTubist, then I wouldn't have to piss about with this sort of nonsense. I could just go out and buy a new candle, couldn't I? Oh, God. I like a scruffy car, says Barry Scrotter. It's character building. Well, there is that. It's all downhill for Boaty tonight, says Stephen S. Paul. And Name Me -1 says, waiting on the frozen wine bottle for the third thing to go wrong. Oh, God. And there we are. Well done, Name Me -1. I have indeed frozen my wine. So that is indeed the third thing to go wrong. Oh, it's fun being me. Oh, God. Don't burn yourself, Boaty. Why are you bothered about candles, says Mustard. I love a candle. I like a candle. I like the atmosphere. I like having candles all over my home. And I like them being lit, especially when I've got company of the female variety. And even when I haven't. I find them atmospheric, restful, and I find that they add to the ambience, and I find that they relax me. So I like to have candles in every single room of the house. And I do have candles in every single room of the house, even the bathroom. Oh, yes. A Rover 25 isn't that much fun, says Barry Scrotter, but we are on a budget. Well, again, that's why going back to the MGF. I mean, we could push the boat out and have two cars, have a summer car and a winter car, and do some sort of clever rotation so that the summer car rotated during summer and the winter car rotated during winter, something like that. Hello, Mr. Boaty, says Rover Joe, and hello, Joe. Hope you're okay, mate. Thanks for being here. How much does Mustard want for Fred, says Skip? It's not a question of how much Mustard wants for Fred, Skip, because Fred is a company car. So it's how much we want for Fred. And that would probably be, well, I don't know. I mean, Mustard probably wants 800 quid, and I would happily swap it for a jar of pickled onions. So probably somewhere in between those two. Mates rate and dodgy bloke, says Barry Scrotter, having a laugh. PN candles are for the ambulance. I've got to head off, says Barry. Have a great weekend, or you might have to put a new battery in the candle. How Have you had any luck with Brian Johnson? Asked Rover Joe. No, people express interest and then they don't bother getting back to you. Or somebody said, yeah, I'll have it, and then you heard nothing more. So can't be asked with any of it, Joe. I'm going to scrap it next week. I don't care how much or how little I get for it. I'm just going to send the bloody thing off, pocket the money, spend it on wine, and forget all about it. I'm not willing to deal with people who can't make a bloody meaningful decision or actually commit to anything. Can't be asked. Can't be buggered. If nobody has committed to buying it by Monday of next week, I'm just going to weigh it in. And then I won't have to think about it anymore, will I? And that will make me very happy indeed. But it's a shame because there are some good spares on that car. It's got a pretty good engine, gearbox. It's got rear electric windows that could be retrofitted to another Rover 25. Leather steering wheel, leather gear knob, very nice alloy wheels. So, you know, it's a full leather interior in really good condition. So it's a shame, but what can I do? What can I do? I put it up there, put it out there, and, you know, nobody's actually, everybody says, oh, it's a shame to scrap it, but okay, buy it and fix it then. No, I can't do that. Well, fuck off then. Bloody tyre kickers, says Andrew Buttigieg. Fred's worth at least 20k in bizarre world, says Stephen Espel. What's up with Brian, says Naomi -1. Oh, God almighty. I don't know. He needs an exhaust, rear box. He needs a suspension job finishing off. It's been mostly done. It just needs a nut welding back onto the chassis. And there's an issue with the remote fob, which, as far as I know, could be anything from needing a new battery to needing a new BCU or Brian control unit. The point is that Brian has been sitting in that bloody yard for 10 months. I've been shelling out money on it month in, month out. It's been getting in Mustard's way. We're all fed up of it, and it's got to go. I was quoted £254 for Motorwise to come and collect it as scrap. I offered it out there in the community for £250, i.e. under scrap money, and nobody could be asked. So there you go. For 250 quid, says Joe, I don't understand why nobody has snatched it out of your hands. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a buggered car. For somebody to snatch it out of my hands, they'd have to have the ability to transport it or pay for it to be transported. They'd have to have somewhere for it to go, and they'd have to be willing to break it apart or fix it, I suppose, if they wanted to fix it. But there you go. Candles are inefficient, says Captain Mustard. You never see them as a form of light in a custard factory. Well, you might if there was a power cut. And arguably, that admittedly, since the introduction of elastic trickery, candles have been overtaken as a form of light and heat. But that is not their primary function now. Their primary function is to accompany Barry White on the gramophone to make a romantic atmosphere that is conducive to podgering. Now then, I don't know about you, Mustard, but when I cook a beautiful romantic tete-a-tete meal, just a one-on-one with me and my and my potential victim, then there's all the difference in the world between sitting in the dining room at a candlelit table with candelabra and a beautiful scented dusky atmosphere. That's a bit different to sitting at the kitchen breakfast bar underneath a fluorescent light tube and both of you tucking into a pot noodle, innit? It's about making the effort. I might as well swap some bits from Brian then, says Mustard. And Baddy Scratter says, and podgering leads to tubby custard. It certainly does. Send Brian off to Allegro Man as payment for the welding on Janet. That would get a little bit complicated because Brian is my personal car and Janet is a company car. I would, Mustard, says Baddy Scratter. The scrap men only cared about the metal. Well, there are some bits on Brian that I would want. I want the steering wheel to go on Sheeson, so I will probably bring Sheeson to the yard on Monday and swap those over. It can't be that difficult. And I've got a big boy socket set. I have swapped a steering wheel over before. I've done it twice, actually. But both of those were steering wheels that didn't have an airbag. So I don't know what I'm doing with an airbag. They were just dead simple. You took the middle bit out, you put your sockety doobry on the big nutty thing, undid the nut, took the wheel off, put the other one on, squared it up, tightened it up again. Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. I wouldn't know what to do, but I can research it. I can look on the interweb and it'll tell me how to change the steering wheel. I just need to check that the facelift and pre-facelift have got the same airbag plug on them. I don't want to have an airbag light coming on Sheeson. Sheeson doesn't have any warning lights. I want them to stay that way. Thank you very much. And the one really valuable thing I have got out of Brian, now these are like hen's teeth. That is an ashtray for a facelift Rover 25 or Streetwise. And these are like rocking horse doings, absolute rocking horse doings. And whilst, who smokes these days? Nobody with half a brain cell in their head. But that's not the point. They are original equipment. And this one has never been used. It's in perfect condition. It's incredibly tightly sprung. So if anybody wants to buy this, it's £50. You probably don't want to hear it, as you probably have many other people, says Joe. As you probably have from many other people, but I wish I could help save it. However, I'm all tied up with other cars. I even have a spare back box from my old 25. It's kind of you, Joe, but, that's what happens. Everybody thinks they should be saved in theory, but nobody wants to do anything in practice. It's like Fred the Shed. Now, trust me, I'm not an idiot. Fred is past any kind of help. Fred is, I don't want to sound harsh, but it is pointless in Fred continuing to exist. It's pointless having money tied up in Fred, and three of us have got money tied up in Fred. Why? It's utterly pointless. What are we going to do with him? He's never going to be fixed. He's never going to be made roadworthy. He's never going to be desirable. He's just taking up space in the yard, and he's just money tied up in a pointless thing, an utterly pointless thing. And Mustard had said, yeah, well, Mustard and a couple of other people said, but it could be a yard car. It could pull things around in the yard. And all right, I suppose that's potentially true. But to my sick mind, I would just think, let's not have cars that need to be pulled around by other cars. The point of a car is that they transport themselves. If you've got a car that can only move by being pulled by another car, then you haven't really got a car, have you? What you've got there is an encumbrance, not a car. And that's what Fred is. Fred is an encumbrance. Exactly. Exactly, Mustard. Allegro man hasn't got the space for storing cars, and neither have I. That's it. That's it. They need to go. Brian needs to go. Fred needs to go. What's her name needs to go. Lady What's It of Southport needs to go. That blue thing needs to go. They all need to go. Get them gone. That's what I say. And fill up the spaces with nice cars at work. A bit like having a two-wheel drive Freelander. Nothing wrong with a two-wheel drive Freelander. Nothing wrong at all. They handle better, they drive better, and they're more economical. And there are many, many lifestyle SUVs in this day and age that are two-wheel drive vehicles. I don't see any problem with two-wheel drive Freelander. And if a two-wheel drive Freelander is a decent car, which ours is, it's an HSE spec, full leather interior, blah de blah, blah de blah. Incredible factory spec, 18-inch alloys, all the doings on it. If somebody wants it to be a four-wheel drive Freelander, you can buy a prop second-hand for next to nothing, and you can just fit it with a new viscous coupling if you really want to. It's perfectly doable, but I would happily own that Freelander myself. You see, now that's a car with some worth. That's a car with some validity. Somebody would love that car. All we need to do is to get the injectors done on it and to get that spring sorted. Same with the Rover 623. What a stunning car that Rover 623 is. And all it needs, as far as we're aware, is an ABS thing, which is available, Neil has told us, straight off the shelf at Honda. You've just got to ask them for it, buy it, fit it, and the car's a good one. So when we've got decent, worthwhile cars like that sitting around for months and months and months, that 623 sat there for about 8 months. Why would we piss about buying things like Fred or bothering with rubbish like Brian when we've got decent, worthwhile cars that our time and money would be much better spent on? Fred will live. Fred pulled the caravan. Right. I'm not entirely happy having my share of money tied up in Fred, because I don't see what value am I getting from Fred. Okay, Fred pulled the caravan, right? Boo could have pulled the caravan. It was a one-off job. It was a one-off to move it. And in the end, it was Senior Mustard who pulled the caravan anyway, because Fred couldn't get up the hill. That's not justification for keeping it. We shouldn't have bought it in the first place, and we shouldn't still be hanging on to it. It should just go. The same as Brian should go. The same as the 800 should go. They should just go, be gone. God, it's not as if there's a team of people working for a television company with a load of budget behind them to get these cars fixed up. There's one Captain Mustard who's pretty overwhelmed as it is. How are you ever going to do all of these things? You got to be realistic, mate. And it's no good for you as well. It's no good for you being surrounded by disaster and pointlessness. Really bad for your mental health. Get rid of them. You will feel better. You will feel more motivated. Have a spring clear out. Get rid of them. Let's put the money back in the pot and let's buy some more worthwhile things. Or let's not buy anything at all. Let's spend the money on fixing and making saleable the worthwhile things that we've already got, rather than them just sitting as yard ornaments for months on end. Why not use the 623 as the community car then? Says Name Me -1. Because it's not MOT'd, so we can't use it as a community car. And bear in mind, Name Me -1, the 623 has been sold for 9 months. It's just waiting for an MOT. And for the MOT, it needs an ABS thing. And I've always understood that the ABS thing is not available, except apparently it's available off the shelf at any Honda dealership. So I don't know. But we can't use it as a community car when it's not legal to drive. Otherwise, it would be perfect as the community car. Yes, you are right, Boaty. Scrap it, says Jimmy Quinn. And Nomi -1 says cars will need to go as soon as the containers arrive, regardless. Yeah, exactly. So, don't leave it until the last minute. Get them shifted now. Get prepared. Bloody hell, am I late? Hello, Gloaty, says Simone. Fred will never lose any money. It's peaked on its depreciation. I'm actually tired of having this argument. Any of you who think that there is any validity in having actual money, let's remember this, right? Let's remember this. You guys who are sitting there talking about this theoretically, I don't think that you're going to be looking at this from the same way that I am, right? Let me lay it to you on the line regarding Fred. Fred is owned by Mustard, me, and the unknown banker, right? Now, Mustard and I are skint. We're always skint. You know that. Why, on God, why would we want to have Fred? We can't afford to pay our bills. We can't afford to put food on the table. Why would we want money tied up in Fred? Seriously, answer me that. Because quite honestly, when one of my direct debits bounce, it's not really, I don't get a good feeling about that, thinking, well, all right, my direct debit's bounced. I'm going to have to try and scratch together some money to get in there. But hey, I own a car that's got no MOT and doesn't run and is utterly pointless. Ugh. Use the money from the purchase to make it roadworthy. We've just picked up our own Fred on Tuesday, a 1991 BMW 325i Touring. Manual swapped, an original JDM import which has been in the county since '96. Lots of performance bits, but it's effing junk. God. Oh, look at the time, darlings. It's 1:15. It's about time we said good night, isn't it? Oh, dear. Sometimes I genuinely just think about, never mind the Mustard and Boaty cars, even just my own cars. Sometimes I think, and bear in mind that my cars, with the exception of Brian, they're all MOT'd, they're all roadworthy, they're all pleasant to drive, they're all legal, they're all taxed, they're all MOT'd. They all can actually be used as cars. And sometimes I think, well, I'm bloody daft doing this. Why don't I just clear the decks, get rid of the lot of them, and just have two cars? Have a Toyota Aygo as my everyday car, and have a Lexus as my high days and holidays car. I mean, I ran Lexuses and Toyotas for many, many, many years, and they tend not to go wrong. And Lexus are put together so ridiculously well that if one of those fails an MOT, it's an absolute it's an absolute shock. But there you go, darling. So have a think about where we should go with a community car. Give us your suggestions. We've got the weekend to think about it. Apologies for the chaotic nature of tonight, darlings. The old slight breakdown and then the late start to this live and all of that shenanigans. But thank you for giving me all of your time again this week. and it is Thursday night, so that will be it. So, say your yeah, exactly, Barry. Say your good nights, darlings, and we will reconvene and discuss all that there is to be discussed after the weekend. God, it's flown by. It doesn't seem a week since last Thursday, does it? Times really do just fly by. Thank you, Barry Scratcher, and I wish the same to you. We probably have different ideas about weekends, you and me. Obviously, I'm sure for most of you, the weekends are a time for your leisure activities and family time and friends time and whatnot. Whereas for me, of course, a weekend means effectively work and sleep. We have two going. That's a good thing, says Mustard, and I totally agree on that. I really like Fred, but it doesn't make financial sense unless it's a company car. But it doesn't make sense as a company car, Mustard. That's the thing, mate. It's a you car. You've got this thing in your head thinking, I could fix that. I don't want that car to go to scrap because that car could be made to run. It could be made to work. It could perform a function and therefore it doesn't deserve to die. And I get that, but that's a you thing. I don't think like that. The unknown banker doesn't think like that. And the reason that you do think like that is the reason you've got a yard full of cars that don't work. You get too bloody emotionally involved in them. And you've got this one the wrong way round. It makes no sense as a company car because we, as a company, we can't do anything with it. We're never going to earn any money from it. It's just money tied up doing nothing, performing no function, and with zero potential. As a U car, you know, the kind of thing that you do as a hobby, yeah, works on that basis. But as a company car, absolutely no sense at all. None. Zero. What possible good could it be for the company? The company doesn't need a car that can not go out on the road and not be sold to a member of the public, but can sit in the yard and pull about other cars because the company doesn't want other cars that need pulling around. It's, it's bloody pointless. Oh dear. Uh, family time Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I'll get whatever jobs need doing. Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, it seemed a little bit argumentative this live. Bit of a weird Thursday one. Weird vibe. There we are. There we are. I mean, as Mustard says, let's cling to the positives. The good things are we have got two cars sold and hopefully going out over the space of this weekend. Next week, Brian will be going as well, and that'll be another one out of the yard. And that'll mean that I don't have any of my personal vehicles at the yard, so I don't need to feel guilty anymore for a while until the next one ends up there. Oh dear. Well, you've had a shit night. No one's perfect, says Barry. Uh, it could go on the road if you got trade plates, says Name Me minus one. Name Me minus one and anybody else. The idea of Mustard and Boaty do cars is we buy cars and we sell them. What is the point in us owning a car that could only go on the road using trade plates? How are we going to sell that? We can't. So it's not worth having it. Is it worth fixing it and selling it? No, because it would cost more to fix it and make it MOTable and make it saleable than we would ever get for it. It's I'm not going any further down that road. It's just ridiculous. And to even think about pissing about with that when we've actually got nice cars sitting there with nothing happening to them, or cars that have sat there for 9 months when they're sold with nothing happening to them, it's just a joke, really, to be honest. And I find it faintly depressing, but there we are. There we are, darlings. I sadly have to change my insurance policy and add more mileage. 200 quid, says Simone. Would you banger race it? Would I banger race what, Simone? I wouldn't banger race anything. I haven't got time for banger racing. Another 300 quid from the scrapman. Exactly. Fred, how could you banger race a car that doesn't run? I don't know much about banger racing, but I believe they have to run. God above. I don't know what you people are thinking of sometimes. Save Fred the Shed. Dear God. I guarantee you this. If Fred the Shed was stuck on your drive instead of Mustard's yard, you would have it scrapped within 2 days. 2 days. Maybe 1 day, actually. Oh, you got another one going. Oh, okay, that's good. Oh, did Steve turn up and take the MGTF? I didn't hear the end of that. I had to go to work, so I missed the end of the live stream, and I haven't spoken to you on the phone since that happened. But did it happen? Did the TF go? Has it gone? 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 Or is that the one that's going? Has it? Well, it did run, Simone, and I'm a little bit out of touch, but then I think it stopped running again. Oh, 22 minutes past 12. We should all go. We've all got better things to do than this. I just want to know if the TF went. Oh, come on, Mustard. Let us know. Don't keep us in suspenders. Is the TF still there, or has it gone? An in-house demolition derby. Oh, that sounds fun. You see, now that I would do. Right. If we set up a course around the yard and all of the cars that were due to be scrapped, we gave them one last hurrah and did a banger race around the yard where we smashed them all into each other, I'd totally be up for that. I'd love to do that, and that would make great content, wouldn't it? I don't know what's happening with the containers. It's Mustard's yard, not my business. Right, I'm going to bugger off because I need some supper. I does, and I think you guys need to get to bed. It's right late in that, isn't it? Isn't it? It's right late. Oh, it is right late. So, okay, darlings, that is going to be it for tonight. Again, apologies for the discombobulated and disjointed nature of this evening's doings, but thank you so much for your company over this week. It's been a good week for lives, actually. I've enjoyed them very much. What have we got to talk about? Well, I mean, I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. I don't know what you're up to. Excuse me. I'm not doing anything special, honestly. Tomorrow night at the restaurant is going to be insane. And I do mean insane. It's going to be crazy. I've laid in so many staff that bloody hell. I mean, we've got a lot of customers tomorrow night, but my God, we've got a lot of staff as well. And it's going to be batshit crazy. This whole week has been great at the restaurant. tonight was another really, really busy night, actually. Nothing's making much sense at the moment, but it has been a fabulous week at the restaurant. So that is all a plus. But that's going to be my weekend, darlings. It's going to be work, sleep, lunch, try and get the odd video out, and then I will have, and then obviously I'll have my Monday fun day as per usual. But I hope you all have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. I hope you stay safe and stay warm, and um, and just take great care of yourselves. And I can't wait to catch up with you all on Monday. There'll be a load of stuff to catch you up with on Monday, probably at the yard. Hopefully, there will be a couple fewer cars at the yard on Monday than there were the last time you saw the yard. And if the weather's half decent, I'm planning to do some work on Monday. Mustard's always going on about the fact that we don't do any work, and he's quite right. He's quite right. So I thought I might try and do something productive. So I'll either take Sheeson and do a steering wheel swap, or having discovered that the fog light actually dwells within Mingebag, and given that Mingebag is up for sale, I might take Mingebag and see if I can refix the fog light into where it's supposed to be, and at least get something productive out of it. But there'll be all of the normal fun and nonsense as well. Of course there will. And there'll be a lunch collection video, and there'll be the lunch video. Could well be a live stream as well, but hopefully get a bit more productive stuff done as well. I would have said that I'd go back in the 45 and try and finish that video off that we did a teaser for, but need to check out the starting motor first, and maybe, but we will do that. We will finish off that 45V45 video, because there were some interesting comments on it. And I mean, I will admit, having done that driving up Blackstone Edge, I will freely, open-handedly admit that the tuned diesel is quicker than my 2-litre V6 petrol. But I would open that out to that becoming a moral question then. So, all right, the diesel is quicker, but you saw the videos, you saw the shit that it was pumping out to the environment, and as a society, we're trying to move away from that. We've recognized that horrendous emissions like are coming from that car are what is damaging our earth, and literally in city centres, literally killing children. Remember now that there has been an official cause of death from vehicle emissions, pollution. So does the fact that you get a faster car, can it be morally justified when you're having to pollute the atmosphere to that extent to do it? And would that sway the balance back in favour of my V6, which runs so cleanly that it's actually ULEZ compliant and can travel free of charge in any of the ultra low emission zones around the UK? And I think that would make a really interesting point to the video, and a really interesting debating point, because it's easy to do the Top Gear Jeremy Clarkson bit and say, well, this car is quicker and end of the story, speed, power. But, factor in that sociological and that societal element to it as well. And which would, we can talk about this maybe in the future. Which would you go for? The faster car, but which is an incredible pollutant, or the slightly slower car that is much, much kinder to the environment? Really interesting question, I think, morally. There's a good Radio 4 program called The Model Maze. This would be a good example of what could be debated on it. Right, that is it, darlings. Okay, right. Much love to you all. Have yourselves a great weekend and take the best care of yourselves you can. And I will see you on Monday. But you, and indeed, oh.